All right, boys and girls, as you can see, we are starting a new module. This is module 4, lesson 1, and we are going to identify, draw points, lines, line segments, rays, and angles, as well as recognize them in various contexts and familiar figures. So if I asked you to make a point, if I say X marks the spot, then you would probably come up with an X, like this. However, what's wrong with it? If X marks the spot, it could be this spot, this spot, this spot, this spot. You need a particular point. So if I ask for a point, you want to make sure that you're as specific as possible. So potentially my point could be this spot right here in the middle of my X. If that is the case, then my point is one teeny tiny space that you probably couldn't even see. The reason I made it that size is so that it's big enough for you to be able to see it. What we're going to do is we're going to label our point. We're going to label it point A. We're going to make another point somewhere else in our paper, and we're going to label this point B. See it down in the corner. Now, with these points, we can connect them in something called a line segment. A segment is just a chunk. So you think about a worm. A worm is broken into segments. They're broken into small pieces. So if I make a segment, it has two endpoints. It goes from here to here, point to point. It's just one straight line. It does not continue on. They're just segments. Now, what I would call this is I would call it line segment AB. You notice how the line looks the same? Just a straight line. Line segment AB. Or, because it doesn't matter which direction it goes, it could be line segment BA. It's the same thing. We're going to make another point, but this time we're going to do something a little bit different with it. We're going to make point C. Point C, I'm going to connect to A. So that is line segment AC or CA. And either way doesn't matter, I only wrote one. What happens if I extend both ends? Means it goes on forever. It'll just keep going forever. Well, that's no longer a segment, a chunk. It's just called a line. So the way we represent that is by having our CA with a line with two arrows on top. Therefore, it's pointing either direction, saying it goes on forever. I could have said AC also, but it doesn't matter. So it's line CA or line AC, if the A were first. All right. As you can see, we have what we had before, but this time I've labeled some things. We have a line CA, and we have line segment AB. So line CA, that means it's going both ways, or line segment AB. Let's go ahead and add another point. This is point D. We're going to do a little something different. We're going to add a new line, but this line looks different. It has a point, but it goes continuously. It's not a line because it's not continuous both directions. It's just continuous from B through D. Therefore, we have to write it BD, because B is our point that we start at. And when it continually goes through from one point to the end, it's actually called a ray. So it's called ray BD. Let's make another point and label it point E. If I want to make another ray, I could start at E and go through B. That would be ray EB. But I'm not going to. I'm going to start at B and go through E. Since it starts at point B, it's ray BE. See how my arrow on the top looks just like my arrow connecting my points? Ray BE. We we've just made something here. If you look, this is an angle. It's actually an obtuse angle, which means it's greater than a right. So I've shown you with an arc that it is actually an angle. And what we call that